Quarter here in Vancouver tonight. Travel by Doncic, and Doncic getting into it here. Look out now!
The recent 1920 season has been quite interesting. There's something exciting and enticing about watching our favorite athletes throw down and get into a scuffle on the court. It's exciting to say the least, and while games are suspended, we're going to take a trip down memory lane and look back at some of the hottest brawls and heated moments in the NBA from the 2019 to 2020 season. But before that, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Let's start off with Luka Doncic and Terrence Mann, who had a heated confrontation as early as the preseason. The Mavericks star was whistled for a travel, so there was a dead ball. For some reason, the Clippers rookie thought it would be a good idea to swipe the ball, which obviously irked the more senior baller. No punches were thrown, although Mann pushed Doncic with closed fists in his face and neck. To resist this, Luka parked his fist in Mann's chest. Luckily, their teammates were quick enough to pull the two apart before anything happened. Next is another preseason misfortune that got Marcus Morris tossed from the game. The Knicks were playing the Wizards, and Morris was getting quite frustrated with Justin Anderson's pesky defense early into the second half. He first swung his elbow to get some wiggle room, but Anderson was really determined to give him a hard time. Morris took the ball and bopped Anderson's head with it. Naturally, the ref had to jump in, but not before Morris got real close to Anderson's chest to talk trash. To defend his actions, Morris said he wouldn't have done it if they were playing in the regular season. As if that makes it any better, but okay. Next up, we have DeAndre Jordan letting Kelly Oubre know he doesn't approve of his on-court workout routine. It was Brooklyn versus Phoenix with less than a minute left before halftime. Kelly Oubre was feeling pretty happy with himself after getting contact from the big center. So instead of getting up immediately after their collision, the Suns forward decided to perform several push-ups. Just because, I guess. Jordan didn't seem to like it, so he came over and talked down on him. Refs were quick to step in before something really bad could have happened. Next resulted in another ejection, the first ever for Golden State Warriors guard D'Angelo Russell. He was ejected during the Warriors game against OKC after he loudly reprimanded a referee for not calling a foul on Chris Paul. To be fair, it did look like he was fouled. Not happy with the non-call, Russell got uncharacteristically close to the ref's face and was immediately slapped with a technical. The Warriors guard didn't back down though, so he was given another technical, which means he had to be tossed out of the game. It's still a touchy subject to this day, with Russell complaining that he just doesn't get reffed the way other players do. Next up, in general, the Warriors seem to be having a bad time opening their conference. In their game against the Lakers, center Draymond Green lasted on the court for just about 10 minutes before he was ejected. This was after he picked up 2 technicals in the second quarter, bringing his total to 14, and that's just for this season. Any more and he might be facing an automatic 1-game suspension. Green was whistled for a foul under the basket, after which he decided to exchange a few words with official Tyler Ford. Moments later, he hit the floor after crashing against Dwight Howard's screen. Green quickly got up to his feet to yell at referee Marat Kogut and again at Ford. The temperamental big man stomped all the way to the dressing room after getting kicked out of the game. Next, we have an altercation between the Brooklyn Nets and New York Knicks. On a jump ball between Bobby Portis and Kyrie Irving, a fight broke out for some unknown reason, and players from both teams had to be physically separated. Portis and Taurean Prince got both technicals for this. Later on, Marcus Morris committed a hard foul on Kurucs, and Spencer Dinwiddie had something. Well, actually, he had a lot of things to say about it. Luckily, it progressed to nothing more than just harmless trash talking, but it was enough to fire up fans of either teams. Now let's talk about an incident that actually progressed into a full-blown fight. Of course, this is the much-talked-about brawl that broke out between Joe Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns. This isn't one of those pseudo-standoffs where guys would just puff their chests out and do nothing more. No, this one involved a chokehold and an eye gouge. A scuffle for position between Embiid and KAT turned pretty physical. No big deal, but it all got worse when Ben Simmons got himself involved by choking Towns. I mean, we thought Simmons was running towards the brawl to break it up, but boy did he surprise us. What about Embiid trying to gouge out KAT's eye? It started to look more like a WWE fight than the NBA. So much so that we can't blame Towns for tapping out. I cannot stress this enough. The Warriors have really been living up to their team name in recent memory. Next, we're going to look at their game against Dallas. Marquese Chriss and Luka Doncic got pretty riled up, and guess whose fault it was? Yeah, it was Chriss who shoved Doncic straight into the photographers and journalists sitting along the baseline. Granted that the two were tangled up after that Chriss rebound, that push was still uncalled for. Luckily, it was called for the tech, which got Seth Curry and the Mavs an easy extra point. Speaking of shoving showdowns, we have up next James Harden and DeJounte Murray going at it early on in the Rockets-Spurs matchup. This happened after Murray stole the ball away from the Beard to score off an easy layup. Harden did catch up to him, but only fast enough to give him a bump while retrieving the ball. Naturally, Murray didn't like that, so he pushed back and proceeded to point fingers at Harden, most likely accusing him of being unsportsmanlike. The reaction was quick, and the fight was immediately broken up, but even so, it wasn't a nice sight to see from two veterans. Next is a tight game between the Magic and the Lakers, which spiraled into something else midway through the last frame when a scuffle broke out in the paint. Jonathan Isaac was called for a personal on Dwight Howard as the two big men scrambled for the rebound. Howard ended up entangled among a number of Magic players, so the Giant elbowed his way through the crowd, drawing some violent responses from the Orlando Ballers. Carter Williams was seen lightly pushing Howard away, but then Wes Iwundu wanted more and decidedly shoved the Lakers center away. Things got complicated when Jared Dudley came barging in, hurling strong words at Iwundu. The scuffle went on for a while, until both Dudley and Iwundu were ejected. It's no easy feat to restrain huge NBA players when they start losing their tempers. But that's what Marcus Smart's teammates had to do to stop him from going after DeAndre Bembry's neck in this stressful situation. Next is when the two teams lined up for a jump ball halfway through the third frame. Smart and Bembry swapped words before getting pulled apart. The smaller Giant couldn't be stopped from trying to challenge the Hawks forward. Smart ended up getting ejected from the game after this altercation. Guess he's not that smart after all. Next up is a veteran chasing down a rookie who slammed a highlight dunk right on top of him. Not the best show of sportsmanship here, but surprisingly, it was the younger player who got the tee. Wolves rookie Jarrett Culver got a good old poster dunk right over Robin Lopez, who stands at almost 8 feet tall, so of course he wanted to brag a little about it. Whatever he said got under Lopez's skin, who chased him all the way to the other end of the court to teach him some manners. Culver was called for taunting, while Lopez walked despite pushing hard against one of Culver's teammates, who was just trying to ease the tensions. Next, we look at when Jimmy Butler gave an entirely new meaning to the phrase kiss and make up after his squabble with TJ Warren. The Heat-Pacers bout got a bit too physical and a bit too wordy after Warren fouled the Heat star from behind in the third quarter. The two stared each other down and started yelling at each other before they were separated by their cooler-headed teammates. I'll let you do the lip reading on this one. Butler did get the last laugh though after an offensive foul on Warren, who immediately started clapping behind his head to taunt him. This earned Warren an ejection while Butler stayed. After calling his opponent trash, Butler blew his ejected rival a kiss goodbye. Definitely made me laugh seeing that. Next, we have another mark for Harden, who's really not the most level-headed NBA player out there. Despite getting Rockets a win against the Suns, he arguably lost in a personal war against Devin Booker, who had to give up the hard foul to prevent the Beard from cashing in an easy layup on a fast break. This is a textbook play that Harden really should have shrugged off. But here we are. Harden pushed Booker away, who responded with a slight shove of his own. Next is something you don't see every day. A player losing his cool and screaming at his team's very own head coach. It's pretty clear that some Cavaliers players are still not on good terms with coach John Beilein, and Tristan Thompson just doesn't care if the whole world finds out. Right off a conversion play from Thompson, Beilein stepped on court to criticize him for something. Thompson had had enough though, so he started yelling at his own coach on the sidelines soon after. To be absolutely fair though, Beilein is also not the first person to complain about Thompson's work ethic. Guess who's back? We have James Harden going 3 for 3 in this list to top NBA brawls in this recent season. This time, James got into a heated argument against his own teammate. Harden was playing coach after a dead ball, which irked Daniel House to no end. House took a couple of steps towards the bench, and then he just got real furious. He even stomped on a chair at the moment of rage, which makes us really desperate to know what Harden could have said to cause such a violent reaction from his own squad member. Up next, who leaves an NBA game with an injury in the eye? Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's who. It almost doesn't matter if Richardson intentionally jabbed his eye or not. There should have been a foul call on this, but this heated moment is actually between Giannis and the Tony brothers, who just refused to book Richardson. In the end, it was Giannis who got the technical after complaining about the no call. Finally, we have the infamous brawl between the Grizzlies and the Knicks. What an unnecessary fight this was, as it broke out with the game already decided. It started when Jay Crowder took a corner three rather than dribbling out the clock. Not wanting to be buried even deeper, Knicks' Elfrid Payton ran over and shoved Crowder hard onto the floor. After seeing this, almost every one of their teammates jumped in, ready to throw hands. As officials sorted out the mess, Knicks owner James Dolan got up and left, urging the crowds in the stands to start chanting, "Sell the team! Sell the team! Sell the team!" There's something exciting and enticing about watching our favorite athletes throw down and get into a scuffle on the court. It's exciting to say the least. And while games are suspended, I hope you enjoy taking a trip down memory lane and looking back at some of the hottest brawls and heated moments of the NBA from the 2019 to 2020 season. It's been an interesting season to say the least, and we're looking forward to when everything kicks off again. We are bound to see some more intense, intimate moments like these again, once everyone gets back on the court and lets out all their frustration from their time off. Thanks for watching the video.